But yeah, this website, Lowly Dev, hmm, is quite handy for finding these things. But it's very much built to be looked at your computer to log in to into your Destiny account, in log your Destiny account into it, because then it can tell you, okay, you've hit this, but you need this one, rather than you have to try to work it out yourself. How safe is it? Having the fucking foggiest. I can only assume so. Golden Nile.
So there you have it, Snitch. Not gonna hide what I've done, but I'm not bragging either. Just trying to stay alive the best way I know how. You go tell your heroes. Hope they got the dirt they were looking for. Just know that there's too much at stake. You ain't stopping me. Many have tried. They're, well, they're dead now.
The Drift remains as distant and standoffish as ever. You will not forget that you chose not to trust him. You regret nothing. Despite everything, though, you realize that he was right. He wasn't what you thought. He's something else. A fearful, scrabbling scavenger running from spectres of death. He's below your concern, but he may not yet be below your sense of duty.
Watch your back out there, brother.
That's done. In a campsite on a cliff above the salt mines of Trustland, a man with a golden gun held two guardians hostage. Behind them, an ashen silhouette smoldered on the cliffside. "I gave you every chance," said the man with the golden gun. Any last words? One hostage lifted his head and took a breath. Before he could speak, his skull erupted in a bloom of arclight. A void arrow lanced through the air and lodged in the throat of the second hostage. He slumped over, falling against his dead companion. The man turned to look in the direction of shots. The gun. The man turned to. Oh yeah, the man turned. I was just reading to make sure I had the orders right. Uh, in my head, like I was trying to imagine the scene. The man turned to look in the direction of shots. The golden gun blazed bright in his fist. The ghosts of the dead guardians materialized to resurrect their fallen charges, but were caught short as two retaining bands whistled through the air and snapped across their frames. The ghosts fell, nerve-rated by arc pulses flowing from their restraints. Loose pebbles murmured down the cliffside as six warlocks dressed in black dusters entered the camp single file. They all carried quite claim shotguns. The man did not move. Quit claim. The woman leading the warlocks stepped closer to the man. She held out a cormorant seal, fearless in the light of his ever-burning gun. Anor Praxic order. "You're interrupting important work," he said. "Stole the words right out of my mouth," she replied. "These ghosts are coming with us. No more killing. Your reputation won't protect you." "Your jurisdiction ends in the city," came the reply. "These two are my problems to solve." Anor glowered. "They're third-degree offenders, consorting with the darkness on a material level only, collecting and concealing illegal artifacts. We'll rehabilitate and re-educate them if we need to. And they'll continue behind your backs. They're already addicted. Power corrupts. They're costing us ghosts, means to fight enemies of humanity. These guardians represent more than potential dregens. Men like this will destroy you from within. Based on the sins of one man. My struggle is older than yours, Warlock Anor. and it will be here when your practical laws are forgotten and the lost city is dust. You, Shax, and the Vanguard, and all the deal makers are going to get this city killed. The man traded his golden gun from one hand to another and sighed. Honora racked to quit claim. Her walks followed her lead. The man stood. Shax wouldn't like it if he came home if you all came home in pieces. Take them. I'll be watching. They so much as breathe wrong and they're mine. He walked into the forest, fist still aflame. The campsite fell to darkness as he disappeared. Honora secured the ghosts. Honora ordered her team, holstering her weapon, and began a thorough sweep of the site. The shadows had her ghost. They'd somehow gotten their hands on restraint tech. Praxic tech. She had to follow up on that sometime, if she lived. No man with a golden gun, no fire team, no backup. She'd been chasing a lead on a group of new blood dredgens, taking her Sparrow over Viridian Bridge to a local Jensen lab. But the shadows were waiting for her. From a hidden vantage point on an overpass above, a single rocket from a shoulder-mounted launcher had obliterated the road in front of her. She'd been thrown straight off her machine. In that split second, she saw Bahagari had tried to capture the beam of light, but with a telltale whistle and snap, a restraining band had silenced her ghost. She was falling by then. She leaned into the roaring wind, transitioned her fall into a dive. The impact and temperature of water shocked and chilled her to the bone as debris rained into the lake around her. She started the long swim towards shore, towards a road she knew would take her to the overpass. She pulled up onto the overpass on a hijacked pike and looked down at the smouldering wreckage of the bridge where she'd fallen an hour ago. Bagagari was nowhere in sight, but her helmet's visor picked up an echo of void discharge from a sniper's vantage. It was consistent with the launch pattern of a shoulder-mounted Countess SA-2. She patched it back to Drifter, and in return he gave her the coordinates of 3 possible shadow safe houses in the area. Without Bagagari, she had to input the manual to her to track her HUD. She selected the furthest one from her position and gunned the pike. By the time she pulled up to an abandoned warehouse in District 125, the shadows had already ransomed her ghosts on several city bands. They wanted clearance to take their jump ships out of the city system by midnight. Without clearance, they'll kill Bahagari. The Vanguard ignored the missive entirely. Renegades were not to be negotiated with, not even Osiris himself. And these shadows were no Osiris. The Maglev train, coming from Core East, roared on a rail above. The next train would arrive at midnight. She could see a light on the top floor. She could see a light on the top floor of the rust-red building, and the silhouettes of several people. Not on that floor, Bagari said, nor started. Hell, hacked restraint. It's Praxic tech. We've got a renegade in the order. Worry about that later. You said you're not on top floor? No, the basement, under the street. The building's empty except for us. Don't even think about a breach. You'll need a team, or a Gilnorn. Don't have either. Big Harry. Don't even think about it. I didn't say Anne. You never call me that unless you're about to do something stupid. She'd never driven a maglev train before. She liked the feel of power in the front car, watching the world hurtle by. The train was empty. She'd ordered all the passengers and the conductor off before she requisitioned it. You can convince people to do almost anything with a cormorant seal. Well, given you can kill them on demand, fudge the paperwork. Suddenly you killed 20 dredgens. Obviously I'm being a little loose with my words here. The turn came, well, you know, like, if it's an FBI agent, you can't really resist. Their word's going to be taken above and else, and, well, think of them like that, except with magic, you know? And it would probably be easy enough for her to plant shit on you. Or if you've just been rendered ash, you know. Who's going to investigate the ash pile? So it's all too easy for them to abuse their power, really. Let's be fair. The turn came rushing up, and she keyed control on her wrist. A series of proximity mines on the rail and the barrier that supported it exploded, and the train hurtled forward through the smoke and fire, down on a rust-red warehouse building far below. She could see Bakagari. She could see everything Bakagari could see, even in death. For those inside the building, it was like the world was ending. But her ghost was free, heading straight for the front car of the train that had impaled the upper floor of the warehouse. A pair of injured shadows, the only survivors, were right behind her as she came up to Anora's slumped body, her eye blazing with light. Anor emerged from a radiant column and ducked under the bleeding Shadow's haymaker, slamming a blazing palm into his gut. She burned straight through him and rolled forward on the momentum, under a thundering shot from the second Shadow's hand cannon. She transitioned from the roll into a stiff sidekick from the ground, shattering the man's unarmored knee. She mounted him as he fell and bludgeoned him unconscious with a rain of burning elbows. Bagagari came up behind her. There are 3 more bodies, somewhere under this train. What now? Anor stood up, covered in blood and ash. We take their ghosts, Lord Vanguard. We've 5 renegades in custody. Anor found her duster in the train cab. Found her duster in the train cab, tattered and badly burnt. She put it on, clasped her comrade seal in place, and sat next to the bodies, waiting for the prisoner's ghosts to materialize. A radio clicked. No casualties. You did well, Akora said. Are you speaking as the head of warlocks or the head that had hidden? Anor returned. As your friend. You slipped, but you saved it. Zavala and I appreciate your help in this. It's imperative that Drifter and Gambit continue, yes. Anor? Yes. Are we good? We're asking a lot of you. I don't ever want your job, and the city needs that Ratman's connections and his means. If you can bring Orin back to us. Let's talk more in the morning. She looked to the viewport at the burning train rail above, and the ruins of the warehouse around her. She supposed this was her life now. Drifter rounded a corner of the bazaar and grabbed a cart hanging from one of the stalls. He docked the gate, passing through a little-used doorway into a civilian corridor. As he walked, he wrapped the cart around himself, covering his head and hiding his face. He changed his gait and his posture by degrees as he walked, moving a little slower, hunched a little lower. When he emerged into the next atrium, it was as though he'd aged by 60 years. Spotting a group of elders passing in the sun, he shuffled over to sit down as one of them. You new here? One of them rasped. Always feels like it, he replied in a reedy lilt. I know what you mean, the elder said, staring at a squad of passing titans whose armor reflected the sky. They always stay the same, he gestured at them. Everything around them changes on their whims, for good or ill. You're not wrong. Wasn't what he had meant. Once traffic had died down, he could head straight for the annex. No guardians to pester him about rules or payout changes to Gambit. He hated going there with the lights on. Their earnestness pissed him off. He only did it because he had to eat. What he loved about Gambit was one thing and one thing only: delectable motes of dark. The bench creaked as someone sat down beside him. Didn't bother to look up. They'll go away eventually. Turns out your info was solid, a voice said, to my surprise. He turned to look, and saw a woman, brown-skinned, crooked-nosed, with intelligent eyes and a hard stare. I'm kind of reading without seeing the words, so it's just like, wait. Every so often I stop and look like, am I reading this right? Because I feel like I'm reading words that aren't there. Sometimes that also happens. Like I'll blur a word together and there's no S, E, or X, but suddenly I see the word sex. And it's just like, what? Well, maybe there'll be an E. E's are practically in everything. But it's one of the most common fucking letters. But, you know, there's no S or X. But I'm still seeing the word. So. She wore a black duster and light armor underneath. A warlock. He didn't know her. You've mistaken me, my dear, he quavered. She handed him an intricately designed slate about the size of a titan's fist. A comrade seal. The info you sold us in Shadows was solid, she repeated. Are you switching sides? He blinked. No use pretending. He dropped the act, sitting straighter. I'm on no side but my own. Are they alive? The elders to his right frowned and began slowly talking amongst themselves. All but one. We couldn't get there before our mutual friend started his work. Those 3 were idiots, chasing legends. No danger to anyone but themselves. Don't think you're a good gauge for that. But they're in custody now. If you're done, I'd like to spend more quality time with my blanket and these crusty fellows. We've listened to your protege's tape, she said. Bastards, he said with no fire in it. The Vanguard think they can use you, she said. And what do you think? You're a criminal not to be trusted, but Orin gave you a chance. He turned to look at her. I think that you can, and I think you can bring her back, she continued. He said nothing, but he didn't look away, either. And Orin stood up, as you were. Oh, the emissary. And she did slip up in during the Gambit thing, saying that she's worried that the Nine will get rid of her and make a new prototype. A scene from the life of Anor, practical warlock, hidden investigator, guardian of light. Triumphs. Ooh, Triumph Apprentice. A moderate score. I didn't get to read the rest. Torn's going away. By the by. Wait, what did I say? I think I said someone was going away, but we already knew that, so I'm just like... I don't know. Ignore me. I suppose that's a break. I just read that there rather than, in its own video. Oh well.
This is not a combat zone. Move along. Scheduling tasks.
This will still be here come the expansion, but it may be harder to get because the combination of the two things.
Please step clear, Guardian.
So,
Woo! That's the stuff. Get paid, hero.
Mate, I got a legendary engram out of this. Bizarre. And annoying. First three I open each week are boosted. By giving me that, I didn't get the quality to boost. Unless it boosted the legendary, which is nice enough.
the new Vanguard's soft and one's dead. You leave the system for a little while and everything goes to hell.
Did you get taller? Or am I getting shorter? Hi there. Done. Sign, please. Transferred.
I don't know why those legendary engrams were so low level.
Making a purchase.
Looking for something in
Or
particular?
right away, Guardian. To chat.
Well, everything it gave me is bizarrely, well, frustrating.
Oh, shall we begin then?
I know that gun. I can work with this. Show them that they can't mess with us.
Believe that soup place is out of tofu. As if we haven't suffered enough.
This will be an energy gun. Never mind, so. I was gonna take it, but it's energy. It would mean I couldn't use the other thing. Ooh,
There is hope for humanity yet.
I've got a sunshot catalyst. Awesome. So... What do I need for a hard light catalyst?
Still got plenty left, even after the attack. I swear it was right here.
Hmm.
Bigger the better, right?
You... Alright. With... to get a catalyst, you do strikes. The harder to strike, the... strikes and knifefalls. If you go for a knifefall, the higher it is, apparently the more, the better you're meant to find those. But I can't do those, so... meh.
I won't forget everyone we lost.
possibility cooldown. Ooh, Titan cost start.
I see your problem. Not enough stopping power.
Fuel capacity.
I won't forget everyone we lost. I won't.
Does that mean I can cast multiple shields? Probably not. Probably just means it can take more damage. It's percentage too. I didn't actually see the percent sign for a moment. Also increase the amount of damage you take before dying. Whatever.
Too many targets, one at a time.
They won't be able to stop it now.
I must admit, Guardian, very curious. Government tracker. The best cryptarchs dig and dig. One day, the dark blooms.
Glad you're still getting out there.
That's very handy, because these don't typically give any stats. So, getting on and out of it's an improvement. It's a beautiful thing.
Falling behind schedule.
Talking with someone about everything that's happened. It's really helpful.
Welcome to the all-new Eververse, Guardian.
Trusty shell. Improved void, improved arc. For ghosts who'll never let you down.
Yes. Received.
Time is like a rose.
Stay here on Earth if you can. Less complicated. Earth's a good place. Worth fighting for. Not gonna jam on me this time.
Feed's gone dead. I can't get any directions. Yes, Guardian, by all means. Let's get started.
Need to get more shards. Alright, what now? I've completed that quest. I suppose I could just do more Gambit. Sounds fine to me. Or I could try some strikes and see if I can't get the thing I wanted. The upgrade for this.
Let's begin. Very good. Remember what we fight for. The Red Legion still holds much of the system. The war goes on, but we will not lose.
Oh yeah, these are being fused.
The next threat will come soon, Guardian. But when it does, we will be ready. Redeploy the construction crews from the walls to the residential districts. They'll do more good there.
Ooh, matchmaking. Ooh,
The Red War rages on.
there's the barrier stuff.